You're eating the same way you did in your 30s, maybe even less. You're exercising, maybe more than ever. But the weight keeps creeping on, especially around your midsection. And no matter what you do, it won't come off. Here's what your doctor probably isn't telling you. It's not about willpower. It's not even really about calories. After 40, your body has fundamentally changed. The rules that worked before don't work anymore. Today, we're breaking down exactly why weight loss becomes so difficult for women over 40, and more importantly, what actually works when traditional dieting fails. Because once you understand what's changed inside your body, you can finally stop fighting against it and start working with it. Let's dive in. So here's the frustrating truth that most women over 40 discover. The same diet and exercise routine that worked in your 20s and 30s suddenly stops working. Or worse, it backfires completely. You cut calories, and instead of losing weight, you feel exhausted, irritable, and the scale doesn't budge. You add more cardio, and you might lose a few pounds initially, but then you plateau and start gaining again. You try intermittent fasting, keto, low carb, high carb, and nothing seems to work consistently. This isn't in your head, and it's not a moral failing. What's happening is that your hormonal landscape has completely shifted. After 40, especially as you enter perimenopause and menopause, your body operates under different rules. And if you keep using strategies designed for a 30-year-old hormonal profile, you're going to keep struggling. The good news, once you understand what's actually changed, you can adjust your approach and see results again. But it requires a completely different strategy than you're probably using now. Let's break down exactly what's happening inside your body. Let's start with the biggest change, your hormones. And I'm not just talking about hot flashes and mood swings. These hormonal changes directly affect your metabolism, fat storage, and ability to lose weight. Starting in your late 30s to early 40s, you enter perimenopause. This can last anywhere from 4 to 10 years before actual menopause. During this time, your estrogen levels don't just gradually decline, they fluctuate wildly. Some days high, some days low, completely unpredictable. Estrogen does way more than you think. It helps regulate insulin sensitivity, meaning how well your cells respond to insulin. When estrogen drops, insulin sensitivity worsens. This makes your body more likely to store calories as fat rather than use them for energy. Estrogen also influences where you store fat. Before menopause, estrogen tends to promote fat storage in your hips and thighs, subcutaneous fat. After menopause, with lower estrogen, fat storage shifts to your abdomen, visceral fat. This is the dangerous fat around your organs that's linked to heart disease, diabetes, and inflammation. So you're not imagining it. You really are gaining belly fat in a way you didn't before. It's hormonal, not behavioral. Then there's progesterone. This hormone declines even faster than estrogen during perimenopause. Low progesterone contributes to water retention, bloating, and sleep disruption. And poor sleep, as we'll discuss, makes weight loss nearly impossible. And we can't forget testosterone. Yes, women have testosterone too, and it's crucial for maintaining muscle mass. Testosterone also declines after 40, contributing to muscle loss. Less muscle means slower metabolism. We'll come back to this. But here's what makes this so frustrating. These hormonal changes make your body want to hold on to fat. It's not about eating too much. Your body is biochemically programmed to store energy differently than it did before. Calorie restriction alone won't override these hormonal signals. Now let's talk about something that's absolutely critical but often overlooked: muscle loss. Starting around age 30, women lose approximately 3 to 5% of their muscle mass per decade. After menopause, this accelerates dramatically. Some research suggests you can lose up to 1 to 2% of muscle mass per year after menopause if you're not actively working to preserve it. Why does this matter for weight loss? Because muscle is metabolically active tissue. It burns calories even at rest. Fat tissue doesn't. So as you lose muscle and potentially gain fat, even if the scale weight stays the same, your body composition has shifted in a way that lowers your metabolic rate. Let me put this in perspective. Every pound of muscle burns approximately 6 to 10 calories per day at rest. That might not sound like much, but if you've lost 10 pounds of muscle over a decade, that's 100 fewer calories your body burns daily just existing. Over a year, that's equivalent to gaining 10 pounds if you eat the same amount. And here's the cruel irony. Traditional weight loss approaches, severe calorie restriction plus lots of cardio, often cause more muscle loss. When you drastically cut calories, especially if you're not eating enough protein or doing resistance training, your body breaks down muscle tissue for energy. You might lose weight on the scale, but you're making the underlying problem worse. This is why so many women over 40 find themselves in a cycle. They diet, lose some weight, mostly muscle and water, plateau, gain it back, mostly fat, and end up with a slower metabolism than before. Each diet cycle makes the next one harder. The solution isn't less food and more cardio. It's preserving and building muscle through resistance training and adequate protein. But we'll get to specifics in a minute. Let's talk about insulin resistance because this is where many women over 40 get stuck. Insulin is the hormone that helps shuttle glucose from your bloodstream into your cells. When you eat carbohydrates, your blood sugar rises, insulin is released, and glucose gets stored or used for energy. But after 40, several factors conspire to make your cells less responsive to insulin's signal. First, declining estrogen reduces insulin sensitivity. Second, increased belly fat, especially visceral fat, produces inflammatory compounds that interfere with insulin signaling. Third, muscle loss means less storage space for glucose. The result? Insulin resistance. Your pancreas has to produce more and more insulin to get the same job done. And here's the critical part for weight loss. When insulin levels are chronically elevated, fat burning is essentially turned off. High insulin tells your body to store energy, not release it. This is why some women over 40 find that carbohydrate-rich meals that never bothered them before now cause energy crashes, bloating, and weight gain. Their insulin response has changed. And insulin resistance creates a vicious cycle. High insulin promotes fat storage, particularly belly fat. Belly fat worsens insulin resistance. Worse insulin resistance means higher insulin levels. Higher insulin means more fat storage. Round and round it goes. This is also why simply cutting calories often doesn't work. If your hormonal environment, specifically your insulin, is signaling store fat, eating less won't override that signal. You'll just feel deprived, tired, and hungry while your body holds onto fat. The solution involves managing insulin through food choices, meal timing, and lifestyle factors. More on this soon. We need to talk about thyroid function because thyroid problems become much more common in women over 40, and an underactive thyroid makes weight loss extremely difficult. Your thyroid produces hormones that regulate your metabolic rate, basically how many calories you burn at rest. When thyroid function is low, hypothyroidism, your metabolism slows down significantly. Thyroid problems are incredibly common in women over 40. Some estimates suggest that up to 20% of women over 60 have some degree of hypothyroidism, and many are undiagnosed. Symptoms include fatigue, weight gain, feeling cold, dry skin, hair loss, and difficulty losing weight despite diet and exercise. Sound familiar? The problem is these symptoms are often dismissed as just menopause or just getting older. But here's what's important. Standard thyroid testing often misses the problem. Most doctors only test TSH, thyroid-stimulating hormone. But you need a full thyroid panel including free T3, free T4, and thyroid antibodies to get the complete picture. And even if your thyroid numbers are normal, you might be on the low end of normal, which can still cause symptoms and make weight loss difficult. There's also a connection between menopause and thyroid function. Declining estrogen can affect thyroid hormone production and conversion. Chronic stress, which many women experience during this life stage, can suppress thyroid function through elevated cortisol. If you're doing everything right with diet and exercise and still can't lose weight, thyroid testing should be on your radar. This is a conversation to have with your doctor, and you may need to advocate for comprehensive testing, not just TSH. Now let's address stress and cortisol, because for many women over 40, this is the hidden factor sabotaging everything. Life stress often peaks during your 40s and 50s. You might be dealing with aging parents, teenagers or young adults, career demands, financial pressures, relationship changes, and, oh yeah, your own body going through major hormonal upheaval. That's a lot. Chronic stress means chronically elevated cortisol, and cortisol directly interferes with weight loss in several ways. First, cortisol increases blood sugar and promotes insulin resistance. So stress is literally making that insulin resistance problem we talked about worse. Second, cortisol specifically promotes visceral belly fat accumulation. This is why stressed women tend to gain weight around their midsection, even if they're not overeating. Third, cortisol can suppress thyroid function, further slowing metabolism. Fourth, high cortisol interferes with sleep, and poor sleep increases hunger hormones, decreases satiety hormones, and worsens insulin sensitivity. Another vicious cycle. And here's where it gets really frustrating. If you're trying to lose weight through severe calorie restriction and intense exercise, you're adding more physical stress on top of your life stress. Your body doesn't distinguish between types of stress. It just knows it's under chronic threat, and the response is to conserve energy and hold on to fat. This is why aggressive dieting and over-exercising backfires so often in women over 40. You're piling stress on top of stress, and your cortisol levels are chronically elevated, which makes fat loss physiologically difficult, no matter how perfect your diet is. The solution involves stress management, adequate recovery, and not adding unnecessary physical stress through extreme dieting or exercise. All right, so what do you actually do? Because understanding the problem is only helpful if there are solutions. First, prioritize protein. Most women over 40 are not eating nearly enough. Aim for 25-35 grams of protein per meal. Protein preserves muscle mass during weight loss, increases satiety, and has a higher thermic effect than carbs or fat, meaning your body burns more calories digesting it. This is non-negotiable. Second, lift weights. Resistance training is the single most important thing you can do to preserve and build muscle. Aim for at least 2 to 3 sessions per week, focusing on major muscle groups. You don't need to become a bodybuilder, but you do need to challenge your muscles with progressive resistance. Third, don't over-restrict calories. A moderate deficit of 300 to 500 calories is far more sustainable and effective than aggressive restriction. Eating too little triggers metabolic adaptation and muscle loss. You need adequate fuel to maintain muscle and support hormone production. Fourth, manage your carbohydrate intake strategically. This doesn't mean going low-carb necessarily, but being mindful of portions and pairing carbs with protein and fat to moderate insulin response. Focus on complex carbs with fiber. Fifth, prioritize sleep like your life depends on it, because your weight loss does. Aim for 7 to 9 hours. Poor sleep alone can sabotage everything else you're doing right. Sixth, incorporate stress management practices daily. Meditation, walking, yoga, deep breathing, whatever works for you. This isn't optional self-care, it's essential for managing cortisol. Seventh, consider getting comprehensive hormone testing. Work with a doctor who understands perimenopause and menopause. You might benefit from hormone replacement therapy, thyroid medication, or other interventions. Eighth, be patient. Weight loss is slower after 40. Expecting to lose 2 pounds per week like you might have in your 20s is unrealistic and sets you up for frustration. Aim for 0.5 pound per week and focus on how you feel and your body composition, not just the scale. Here's the bottom line. Weight loss after 40 isn't about eating less and moving more. That advice is outdated and doesn't account for the massive hormonal shifts happening in your body. Your body has changed. The strategies that worked before won't work now, but that doesn't mean you're broken or that it's hopeless. It means you need a different approach, one that works with your hormones instead of against them. Focus on building muscle, eating adequate protein, managing stress, prioritizing sleep, and addressing any underlying hormonal issues. The number on the scale might move more slowly, but you'll actually be improving your health and body composition in sustainable ways. Stop blaming yourself, start understanding your biology, and adjust your strategy accordingly. If this resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more realistic health content for women over 40. Drop a comment and let me know. What's been your biggest frustration with weight loss after 40? Thanks for watching, and remember, you're not failing. The old rules just don't apply anymore.